And I think we're live. How is everybody this evening? How is everybody? Um, Tonight we have a very special guest. This is Mrs. Rebecca. She is the grandmother to Corey Miccioli. I said that correct, right?
Micciolo.
Okay, I'm sorry.
That's okay.
Micciolo?
Yes.
Micciolo. Okay. I knew it was one of those northeast spellings, and I wasn't really sure how it. Because I actually, throughout doing some research, I've heard it pronounced all different kind of ways.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah,
definitely.
yeah. So, how are you this evening, madam?
I'm okay. How are you?
I'm well. I want to thank you first of all for allowing me the ability to handle your story. I think that when you look through the tubes, you'll see a lot of different. I hate the terminology content creators, but you'll see a lot of different creators that have been blessed with the opportunity to handle someone's story, and they're just not equipped to do so. Right?
Right.
We spoke privately in a telephone call, and I was right up front and said, I am not an advocate. I'm an advocate, activist. There
Right.
are scenarios you can advocate for, but an advocate usually has some secondary learning or degrees or certifications. I do not have those, so I don't want to misconstrue with anyone that I'm an advocate, because I'm not, as much as I would love to be. So, um, I guess let's just start off with a short rundown of Corey's story. Could you tell us what year, day and year he was born?
It was born May 1st, 2014.
May 1st, 2014. So he would have been how old? He is how old?
He was he was about to turn 6 before he was murdered.
He was looking at going to kindergarten and all the things.
He was in first grade. I'm sorry.
Oh, okay.
He
Okay.
my mind isn't as sharp as it used to be, and I
No.
apologize.
No, 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 no. It's okay. What was Corey an outdoor kid? Was he an outside guy?
Yeah, he enjoyed being outside, but he also liked to draw and,
Did he?
things like that too.
Yeah, he seems, the picture here in the lower right. Definitely, I can tell he has a big personality.
Oh yeah, he did.
Yeah,
Definitely.
yeah, he reminds me of my son. Just you can just tell that he's probably a jokester and likes to goof around and.
He definitely did. Yeah.
Okay, so you are the grandma on the maternal side, right? His mother
Yes.
is your daughter, right?
Right. Correct.
Okay. Now, with the last name, he doesn't have the Gregor last name, and to me, that already kind of tells a story. Um, does that am I would I be correct in assuming that Gregory wasn't, or Christopher wasn't, very active in Corey's life?
Um, that would be accurate. Corey was conceived through rape. Christopher Gregor drugged and raped my daughter, and
Oh
that's how
my,
Corey was conceived. They weren't dating or anything. He was much older than her, not much, but I mean, she was 16, he was 21.
oh my.
Yeah. So,
What is what is the age of consent in New Jersey, Rebecca?
I believe it's 16.
Okay. Was there ever any was there ever any criminal charges looked at in this whole situation in terms of the conception and pregnancy?
We had filed a police report, but then Brianna didn't want to go through with it, and I wasn't sure why. I learned after, you know, things started happening, why she never wanted to pursue any charges. Because he had been threatening her all along with his father's power, because Christopher Gregor's father, David, was a lieutenant for the New Jersey State Police. And
Oh,
so Chris would use that status and, threaten this, that, and the other. So, we would go in and make a police report, and then Bree wouldn't talk about it. When we finally decided, you know what, he has to pay for that too, we were already going, Corey had already been murdered. So the prosecutor's office decided that they weren't going to take the case because they basically said you have bigger things to worry about at this point. Like, we were already going to court for the murder. So,
right.
um,
It's kind of the greater of the two evils, the situation with Corey in his passing.
right.
Yeah. Okay. How is your daughter present day? I mean, I can't imagine this is not something that you can go to sleep and wake up and it's all better. This is has this caused any long term kind of chronic issues for your daughter?
Depression, a lot of mental health issues for all of my family. It affected all of us. I lost my son and I blame it on Corey's death. Um,
He
so yeah,
he had some things he was dealing with, and
he had
um,
been clean for 2 years. And
mhm,
then, a year after this happened, he overdosed on pure fentanyl, which I never knew him to use fentanyl at all. It was heroin.
no,
And he died in my house.
wow, you just didn't. I mean, even if you had the world's best coping mechanisms, this isn't really a scenario that conventional coping mechanisms, you're just white knuckling it, hoping to survive it until it gets easier. And I'm I hate that you've had so much loss all at one time. So let's talk about what brought you to the tubes. What brought you to YouTube?
Well, my daughter created a Facebook group back when this first happened to Corey, called Justice for Corey. And I didn't quite understand. I mean, I'd been on Facebook. I didn't know why make a group, what could happen. But, I saw the group grow into 20,000 plus members. And, I just started watching like different YouTube content creators, whatever you want to call them, had
Mhm.
reached out during this, my grandson's case. And I kind of liked what they could do on YouTube. So I'm like, oh, I'm going to do that. Eventually I'm going to do that. So I did start my channel a little over a year ago. Um, and it's a combination of, I want to talk about, child abuse, murder, addiction, a bunch of different topics, and just give my personal opinion and what I went through in
Mhm.
hopes of helping somebody else.
So just to be an activist, to kind of, I guess, have a voice in the realm of YouTube. Um, and I'm guessing you have quite naturally been through a crash course, and you see how toxic this platform can be, right?
Oh yeah, it can be, I always say like doing the YouTube stuff was like therapy for me, but lately I've been needing more real therapy because of YouTube.
Would
You
you
know,
care to would you care to expound on that?
well, I'm having a little issue with one person on YouTube and her followers, and
Mhm.
she's really made it quite personal. And this is somebody who covered my grandson's story. She reached out, and my daughter and I had both done some interviews with her, and she covered the story. And so she has a lot of personal details about me, and everything. And now she's kind of bashing me because we parted ways. And, the latest is she's threatening to reveal, I don't know, secrets or something. And I don't know, my life is a pretty much like it's an open book. I've been on, out in the public eye since the trial and since 2021 when all this happened. So I don't know what she thinks she's going to reveal about me, but I'm waiting to hear it.
So I can tell you this, that's sort of like the per diem for weirdos on the internet. Um, they're going to kind of take you under their wing and offer you, maybe a softer place to land, some level of comfortability in this space. And then as soon as they don't get their way, to me, what it kind of appeared to be, and you please correct me if I'm wrong, because I assume, and sometimes I get it wrong. It would appear to me that that this gal may have felt like she lost her contact to the connection of content. Would that be right?
Well, I really don't know, honestly, because, her and I were doing a Monday morning show together about addiction because of my son. She allowed me to use her platform before I had mine, but I wasn't really doing anything with it. So
Mhm.
she gave me a place to go on every Monday and talk about addiction. And some things happened, and I wasn't happy doing this with her anymore. And I decided to part ways. And things were okay until I mentioned her name about a week ago. And she just lost her shit and started bashing.
And so, if you don't want to reiterate what that was, you don't have to. But if you'd like, in what context did you use her name that has now caused the internet to see the real her?
Well, I was on another YouTube channel watching,
Mhm.
a live that another content creator was doing, and it happens to be a person that she hates. I don't know, they had a falling out, and during his live, I don't know, her name came up, and the only thing I said in the chat, I typed my little message in the chat. I said, Toddy came up on my Facebook today saying she's going to use Facebook more often. That's all
Mhm.
I said, and that's all it took. And she
Wow.
started blasting me through email. And, I told her, I said, oh, I wasn't, she called me a shit stirrer. I said, no, Toddy, I wasn't doing that. I just said that I happened to, your name came up. I happened to see, I got a notification on Facebook, you were going to use Facebook more. And I said it. That's all. I wasn't stirring the pot. And she just kept blasting me. And I said, she kept going, 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 sending email after email. So I finally said, don't contact me again. And then she sent me an email that said something about the content creator whose, chat I was in,
Mhm.
saying bad things about him. And only then did I share the email with him because I thought he needed to know what she was saying about him because it was pretty bad.
Hey, Ghost, how you doing? Thanks for joining us, buddy.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. I appreciate you for letting me come up here. I'm just here to
Absolutely.
support Rebecca.
I'd have
Um,
no other way.
yeah, facts. I do appreciate you though.
Absolutely.
Rebecca, if you wouldn't mind, can I add on just a little bit to that you said? Because I think there's
Sure.
one key element in that story that we all have to remember and all have to take a little bit of focus on that. Is at one point, Toddy told Rebecca to delete her channel. um
Right.
that to me, that is the biggest well, actually, Benny, we talked a little bit earlier about that, and
Mhm.
you explained it to a T. Could you explain that kind of how you explained it to me?
Well, I think that, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I think how I had kind of relayed it was that it seemed as if she sort of wanted to be, she wanted to be like the mainstay. If she's not going to go on Toddy's channel, then
Mm.
she doesn't need to go anywhere. Is that kind of how?
Exactly. That's
Yeah,
exactly the way you stated it.
yeah,
And that too, and it's the worst type of gatekeeping, if you will, that
absolutely. Gatekeeping.
I've
That's the word.
ever seen. It's scary gatekeeping. You know what I'm saying? It's like somebody trying to withhold information, or no, you can't go over there because they'll do it better than I do. It's absolutely wild and absurd to go to somebody and be like, I need you to delete your channel because you wanna live stream your story. I've never in
Right.
my
Like
life.
you live streaming your own story will compete with what I'm doing over here.
That's
Yeah.
exactly what it was.
Yeah, that's super toxic. Now, we also spoke before, right before the live stream, we spoke about this channel that's popped up, and I don't want to go deep off into it. I actually had put the link in the chat, and after watching it, there was certainly it was Two Moon Weston, right?
Correct.
Yeah. And we're not going to go into a lot of about that here, but I will post the link here. I'll even put it in the description of this live stream. It's a channel that's popped up, and if you could sort of just paraphrase what you think this channel is representing, or what is their mission statement, Ghost?
So this channel, they tagged me. I had no idea this channel existed. They've literally got just a few videos on there. They had tagged me in a video, and I went and watched it, and there were some very graphic and specific things said in this video, but the detail in these videos were off the chart, which is something that we have to understand. When there's that much detail in something like this, you have to pay attention to this. So, like Benny said, we're not going to go real deep into this channel, but I plan on maybe discussing this a little bit deeper, because what's said here, it absolutely has to be discussed, I think. You guys can go watch them for yourself if you want.
Buyer beware, though.
Yeah, thank you.
Trigger warning.
It kind of like when you're talking about him, it almost leaves you kind of speechless to a point, because you don't know what to say. You know what I'm saying? My jaw dropped. Like I told you, I didn't even know how to begin to even take in the information at one point.
I went. So if you can see here that it's one short posted 3 different times, and then this here, and I can tell you that it's, in my opinion, take it for what it's worth, and the only thing that I have to gauge it on is my experience in dealing with or seeing victims' statements or stories online. This person is either one of 2 people. It's actually a victim of this lady's, or it's a very sick mind. And I want to lean more towards it, not a sick mind, but maybe a sick troll. I want to lean more towards this person is who they say they are. That would be my opinion.
I would have to agree with that.
Yeah, no devil's advocate. Like, this person is describing a very, very descriptive story about something that happened to them. Now, with that being said, you also said in our phone call that there was a commissary position in a jail, and that there was someone much younger than her that we'll get to that part. Maybe we'll carry that out. How you doing, Rebecca? You okay?
Yeah, I'm good.
Okay. This brings us to, a lot of people here know I love vocabulary. I love vocab. It's just a way to really sink in terminology or phrases that we're using. This is secondary victimization or double victimization. It is the further trauma or harm a victim suffers, not from the crime itself, but from the insensitive or inappropriate responses of individuals, institutions, or society. It often involves victim blaming, intrusive questioning, or discrediting behavior, for example, by police, medical personnel, the justice system, or loser YouTubers. And if you want to get more in tune with what some of the triggers are, or we'll cover the impact. The secondary trauma compounds the original violation and often causes severe psychological harm. It can strip survivors of their dignity, deter them from pursuing legal justice, and drastically diminish their trust in institutions or in people in general, right? Does that sound about right, Miss Rebecca?
Yeah, I think that's pretty accurate.
From what I understand, you have a tremendous resound and strength, and that you, for the most part, you don't let a lot of this stuff bother you, do you?
I do and I don't. I'm at the point now where I've got nothing left to lose. So if anybody wants to come at me, I'm gonna give it back to them. What are you gonna take from me at this point? You know?
Right. Yeah, you've already suffered the worst loss. These people can't, these are words, right? To a degree, they're words.
Right.
And a lot of people will tell you that I have I have one of the strongest ignore games on the internet. I'm not one of the people that wakes up in the morning or throughout the course of the day. I'm not YouTube searching my own name to see what people are saying about me. I just plug ahead, and I'm on my own cruise, and I look out the window, and I observe what I want to observe. And most of the time, that doesn't require me to look in the rear view and see what people are saying about me. So I would really implore you, if you're not doing that, and it's one of those things that each time you do it, the easier it gets to just stay in that frame, in that space where you just don't care what people are saying about you. Maybe you have a support group that, for instance, at different times in my journey, when there's drama or there's this or there's that, you'll have a support group. For all intents and purposes, they are your support group. But then when they start sending you every single little thing someone says about you, at some point, you're like, hey, I love you to death. I know you love me, but please don't send me anything more. Right. I don't want to know. I want to just stay plugging ahead, looking forward. And for me to go back and look at these things these people are saying about me, it only fuels the fire for a war moving forward, right?
Right.
Okay, so victim blaming. Victim blaming occurs when the victim of a crime or a wrongful act is held entirely or partially responsible for the harm done to them. Has that been an aspect that you've had to confront?
I'm sorry. I
No, it's okay.
was
Has anyone ever tried to hold you responsible for what happened to Corey?
Oh, yeah. I mean, there've been a lot of people. Nobody that I personally, well, no, I take that back. My ex-husband tried to blame me. Um, but there were other people who saw the story and said, "Oh, where were the grandparents? Where was the mother? What were they doing?" And, so there were quite a few people who thought that, maybe we could have done more or should have done more.
But I mean, really, your hands were tied. I mean, did Christopher, did he petition the court, or did he have appointed parenting time?
He, after a paternity test was done and it was proven he was the father, um, his father, Christopher's father, pretty much told Chris, you have to get custody of that kid. We have to get him, raise him, whatever, because he didn't want it to look bad for them, that he'd had this kid that's almost 5 now and, had nothing to do with
So
him. So,
you felt like it was basically like the optics of it. He was involved because he was maybe being leveraged by his father, and his
yeah,
father, his motivation was the optics and the way it looked.
right, right.
Okay.
So, he did end up getting 50-50 custody. Um, the family court kind of screwed up because they were supposed to order some type of like reunification, they call it, which they never did. They just expected that Corey would go there without really knowing him, and that's how it happened.
Did Corey live with you at your house?
He lived with my daughter, lived with me, and
Okay.
he lived with us.
So you guys were kind of a unit. Um,
Yeah, that's how it
you,
was from day one.
you saw him every single day, all day long, so on and
Yep.
so forth. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, The next little thing that I want to segue into, and I've already spoken with Miss Rebecca, and we're okay. What we're going to listen to now is her victim impact statement. This, if you want to kind of walk us through, at what point in the trial does your victim impact statement come?
On the day of sentencing. My daughter and I weren't allowed in the trial the whole time because we were witnesses, like we were going to testify. They didn't end up calling me to testify, but I still wasn't allowed to be in the trial every day. So I was only in, towards the end, and the victim impact statement was read the day of sentencing.
Okay. Let me ask you this. How long did it take you to write your victim impact statement?
Not very long. There were so many things I knew I wanted to get out, and so I really didn't have to write it down, except I wanted to try to make sure I could stay on topic because, like I said, there was so much I wanted to say. It didn't take me a long time. That wasn't supposed to be the victim impact statement I read. The prosecutor's office had told me sort of what they thought I should write, and I yesed them to death, and then I went home and did my own.
Good for you.
Because
Good for
anybody
you.
that heard it would know the one they wanted me to write and read was not me. And I needed to say what I needed to say.
Yeah.
So
Did you
I wrote
feel,
my own, and
was there a great sense of relief after being able to read it straight to him?
no, because he didn't look up that much. I know I could tell certain things I said did upset him because I know him well enough to know, and I knew certain things would bother him, and they did, and I could see that. I only wish, I could have, there are a lot of things that, if I knew then what I know now, things would have been different in the courtroom and outside the courtroom waiting to go in.
Mhm.
Um, I would have probably said things to his family. But we were always, the fear was always, don't do that because it could harm the case. Don't say that
Right.
because it could harm the case. So we were on our best behavior, but knowing what I know now, if, well, hopefully this would never happen again to me and that I would
Right.
have to do this again, but I would be a whole different person.
Have you ever thought about writing him a subsequent letter?
I've written to him for a year straight after he went
Okay.
to prison.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And what was sort of the subject matter of those letters? Was it kind of just victim impact statement stuff every time you wrote him, or
Um, Kind of rubbing in his face that I was free to go get coffee and do what I want. And,
good for you?
like if it was a
Good.
holiday, I'd mention that it was a holiday. Just taking little digs at him and
Mhm.
reminding him of what he did. And pretty much I did that, like I said, for a whole year. And then I decided that he had taken up enough of my time. And, I did ask him to put me on his visitors list, but he hasn't done it yet.
Mhm.
I wish he would.
Do you think you do you th- do you think you can ever forgive him?
Are you kidding?
No, I only ask because I've seen other, I've looked at other cases
Mm-mm.
where the victim's family, whether they actually have or haven't, they voice, well, I've had to, forgive him in order to do whatever, whatever, whatever. So
Mhm.
I think it would be almost impossible to forgive this man.
Yeah, I've
Yeah.
seen, a lot of people that will stand up and say, I forgive you,
Right,
whatever.
right.
That's not me. It'll never come out of, never. There's no way. He didn't accidentally run over him with a car, I mean, he did it deliberately. There's no forgiveness for that. I hope he rots in hell. I want him to suffer the same pain that my grandson suffered.
Well, it does say in the Bible, and I'm not going to quote the verse. I'm just going to kind of paraphrase it. It's that if any person were to mislead or hurt a child, that they ought have a millstone hung around their neck and sunk to the depths of the sea. So he is a perfect candidate for that.
Yeah, I agree.
I would
Right?
agree.
Yeah. So we're going to listen to a little bit of this, and you guys feel free to comment, or if you want me to pause, whatever. I think before we get started, I don't want to diminish what happened to Corey, but I also didn't feel like it's my place to tell what happened to Corey. Do you want to tell the people listening what happened to Corey?
Sure. Um, well, like I told you earlier, Corey was conceived from Christopher Gregor drugged and raped my daughter. She was 16, he was 21. And when he found out my daughter was pregnant, he, he told her she had to get an abortion and, that he couldn't have this baby because it was going to ruin his life. His parents wouldn't support him anymore because he was in college or whatever.
Okay.
And when Brianna didn't really entertain that idea, he's like, well, you don't know. My father is, a state trooper and he's got connections and we'll make your life miserable. You better get rid of this, and she just stopped taking his calls and didn't
Mhm.
really deal with them. And, she had Corey. And then Chris, we did well, I guess when Corey was about 3, Chris contacted my daughter because he had driven his car into a retention pond. He got a DUI and he didn't want
Mm.
to call his parents because then they would be disappointed in him. So he called my daughter because he knew that we lived close to where this happened. And he asked her to pick him up so he wouldn't have to call his parents. So she did. And the next morning, I guess it was about 3 in the morning, she picked him up. And when I got up the next morning, and, I go downstairs, he's there, Chris Gregor. And
Mm.
I didn't quite understand what was going on. And what upset me about that is my grandson was there and Chris totally ignored him. Like he wanted nothing to do with him, didn't even acknowledge him. And anybody who's in a house with a child, you acknowledge the kid, you play with them, talk to them. He wouldn't even look at the kid, right? So after he left my house, I called his parents and I told them, you do know you have a grandchild. And they called me names and said a bunch of stuff to me. And David Gregor, Christopher's father, told me that Corey should have been aborted. And
Wow.
I told him that, that's, I don't do that, that's not how we do things. And, whatever. So then we did the paternity thing, because what happened was I was going through a divorce and so originally before my divorce from Corey's grandfather, my first husband, um,
Mhm.
we had bought a house and moved down to Florida. And I stayed in New Jersey and my husband and Brianna and Corey and my other daughter, everybody went to Florida, but I stayed up here because I had a job here. So I would go down to Florida for a week out of the month. And
Mhm.
so that didn't last very long. And my husband and I we were getting divorced. And so Brianna came here back to New Jersey to live with me. And at the time, I was only working like 3 days a week. So when they came to live with me, my husband had canceled our health insurance and everything. And I didn't know what to do because I was working part-time and didn't have health insurance at my work.
Mhm.
So I told Brianna, we have to go try to get like state insurance, Medicaid. So
Mhm.
we went
Mhm.
to the Medicaid office and the lady there is like, where are your pay stubs, whatever. And I showed her and she's like, oh, you could get other benefits. Do you know that? If you're supporting both of them and you only work. And I was like, well, no, I just need insurance, because God forbid something happened. And she's like, okay, so, fill out these papers. And then it asks who the father is. So I look at
Mhm.
Bree, my daughter, and she's like, we didn't know, like, do you have to tell them? If we don't, are they not going to give Corey insurance? Like, so we named the father. So they ordered a paternity test. And
Ah.
so that was when Corey's about 3 and a half. And so then Chris hid from that for a long time. He never went for the paternity test. The paperwork was going to his parents' house. It was going to his address in Baltimore where he was a teacher and where he was living. And finally, he did the test. It came back, Corey was his child, and he was ordered to pay child support. And that's when him and his family decided Chris needed to get some custody and fight for him.
Gotcha. So the
So
ideal being that if the custody was split 50-50, it would minimize the chance he would have to pay any child support. I'm
I
guessing
don't
maybe.
know. I don't know if it was partly that and the fact that his father didn't want to be embarrassed when people found out that they had this grandchild, or, I don't know.
Right.
I couldn't tell you what the motive was, but Chris didn't have good intentions, and we learned that very early on, um, just at the very first visit that he had with Corey by himself. Corey came home with a busted lip and blood all over his shirt and his shorts with no explanation. And that's when everything started. So Corey's last year and a half of his life, he was abused daily by this man. And the other family covered it up. They lied to, the Child Protective Services. They lied to the police and got away with it.
So CPS was involved.
Oh, yeah.
From for how long in the last part of this tragedy? How long were they involved?
The last 18 months of Corey's life. It started just after the first visit.
Okay. Okay. Um, did Corey ever come home and tell you about any abuse?
Yeah, he told us all the time.
There just wasn't anything. Your hands were tied. CPS is involved.
Right,
You're leaning on CPS to be the savior of the child throughout all this, and they dropped the ball.
right. And we complied with all the court orders and everything because we didn't know what could happen if we didn't. We figured he would get Corey full time if we didn't comply. So we did everything we were told we had to do.
Wow, what a nightmare!
I
I
know.
cannot understand. Let's listen to a little bit of his statement before sentencing. I can tell you this, that I listened to some of this afternoon, and this dude, pardon my French, this dude is a huge piece of shit.
Yeah.
He's also a terrible actor, because I didn't feel like any of his. I felt like you're staring at a narcissist who truly, and when you listen to his statement, he still's not taking any accountability. The only thing that he's taken accountability for is for not calling for help for Corey. Am I right?
Um, yeah, if you want to call it that. I mean, yeah, that's pretty much all he admitted, that maybe he should have gotten him help sooner when he realized he was sick.
So can you really, really briefly walk us through what actually led us to this point right here?
Well, the night before Corey was murdered, my daughter took Corey to the pediatrician to get a child abuse exam done because we just kept saying we know somebody's got to do something, and she wasn't permitted to take him until it was her parenting time. So
Right.
we had to wait, and so the night before he was murdered, my daughter took him to to the pediatrician, who said she had to go to a hospital where there was a child abuse expert on staff.
Mhm.
So my daughter went to this hospital, and the child abuse expert clocked out at 5 p.m. because child abuse doesn't happen, I guess, after 5 p.m., right? So there's
Right. Only
nobody
business
there.
hours. Yeah.
All right, Monday through Friday, 9 to 5, apparently. Um, so the social worker from Child Protective Agency was on the phone with the doctor, the pediatrician, the doctor at the hospital, and my daughter. He knew that Corey was due to go back to his father's house. And never told Brianna, no, don't take him there, you keep him, whatever. She had to comply with the order in place, which required her to drop Corey back off to Chris, even though Corey had revealed to the pediatrician and to the hospital doctor that his dad had caused all the bruises on him and had been abusing him. So the child abuse expert was supposed to see Corey the next day at 12 o'clock, but Corey never made it to that appointment because Chris had already delivered the lethal blows and he was slowly dying on Chris's couch around noon that day.
So there's the account is that he put Corey on a treadmill.
That's not what killed him. No, that was
just a part of the abuse, right?
That's one of the ways he would abuse him.
Right.
Yeah. And
because he thought Corey was overweight or something.
oh yeah,
correct?
he used to tell Corey that he wasn't going to let him get fat like me. He would tell Corey, your GMA's fat. You can't be fat like that. You only eat junk food at their house. Like, you can't do that. He had the kids so afraid to eat that Corey would check labels on things when he would come back to our house. And I can't eat that. I can't eat that. He would read the labels. How many 6-year-olds do you know that do that?
I've never met a 6-year-old that will calorie count. Yeah.
Oh
ever.
my God.
Yeah. And if Corey weighed more when he went back to Chris, he was punished.
So the official cause of death was blunt force trauma and a lacerated liver.
The heart and liver. Yep.
Heart and liver.
Yeah, he beat him the next day after my daughter took him to the hospital. Chris was supposed to get him back after the doctor's appointment, but then the pediatrician made my daughter take him to the hospital. So of course, that went into the night and Chris stopped answering the phone because we later found out he picked up a whore on one of the dating sites and they were partying. So he just didn't answer the phone anymore. So, Brianna brought Corey back home with her and then took him back to Chris in the morning. She left our house about 8 a.m. and dropped Corey off at 9. And so Chris knew then that Corey had revealed everything that happened, that he was doing to him. So we know that he obviously beat him that day for telling on him.
And to get a context, folks, anytime I've ever heard of a lacerated liver or a lacerated heart, or I've read of these things in like crazy car wrecks.
Yeah, car accidents.
Yeah, when you try to understand the force it would take to lacerate a heart, a liver, and kidneys, you're talking about extreme force. Yeah. Extreme force. Okay, thank you for that, Rebecca. I'm so sorry. I know that I have some people around here that may not be all the way in the know about what happened, and so thank you for sharing that. I didn't want to be the one I wanted you, if you felt comfortable, to do that, and I can tell that you're a very strong woman, and that, yeah, Angel, very much force. So we're gonna give this dude just a little bit of airtime because I'm more interested. And I think that the much louder voice needs to be Rebecca and her victim impact statement. But I do want you to just kind of get a baseline on this dude here, because I think it's important, knowing what you know now, not having heard his voice. Now you get to see his demeanor and hear his voice. And I think that it'll sink in. It'll sink the hook, so to speak.
And you can either give us your full name or just your initials.
Rebecca Micciolo, Corey's GMA.
Actually, we're going to do yours first. Me and Ghost talked about this. I forgot. We're going to do you first. And then if we have time later on, I have his pulled up as well. His is not that important. So I'm glad that I did it in this order. If at any point throughout the course of this, Ghost or Rebecca, you want me to pause, just say something and I'll pause.
Sure.
Thank you, ma'am.
Your Honor, I want to start by thanking you for allowing me to address you today. I will not stand here and tell you that I forgive this monster.
And G-Ma, I'm going to tell you what right now, you are not fat.
I'm thinner now. I'm 113 now. I was much bigger then.
You look good there.
Well,
Are you kidding? Shoot.
Thanks.
Yes, you are a beautiful woman. So yeah,
Thank
Chris
you.
just has fat between his ears. That's what it is.
I would have to
you.
agree with that statement.
Because I don't, and I will never. You'll never hear those words come out of my mouth. The actions of this man have greatly affected my life, the lives of my 2 daughters, my 2 sons, and my granddaughter, and 19,000 others from around the world, including Corey's teachers and doctors. On April 2nd, 2021, this man lost control and he beat my grandson, and he denied him medical attention for several hours, only taking him to the hospital by car when Corey was within an hour of death, and leaving him to die with only a nurse and hospital staff around him, denying my daughter and myself to be with Corey, and denying Corey the comfort of having people who loved him with him as he took his last breath. This is not a man who should be shown mercy. My daughter slept in my bed many nights since Corey was murdered because she was afraid to be alone. We have nightmares. I see that treadmill video in my nightmares. That video that this monster sat in this courtroom and watched and didn't shed a tear, not 1 ounce of remorse. I'm being treated for several mental health disorders since Corey was murdered: PTSD, nightmare disorder.
I think it is so strong for you to keep repeating the word murdered.
Yeah,
That is,
I had to.
yeah. And I would say, don't ever stop doing that. Like that is, it needs to be a part of this story, that word.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, that is sort of an all encompassing term, instead of trying to take a back seat and call, even if someone were to say, well, he beat him or he did, no, he murdered Corey.
Right.
This man murdered this baby.
Exactly.
Depression and anxiety. I'm on several medications to get through the day. I can't work. I'm no longer living, Your Honor. I'm existing. Your Honor, this man took advantage of a 16-year-old child when he was 21. He used alcohol and drugs, and Corey was conceived as a result. Corey was the dirty little secret that Chris never wanted anyone to know about. He demanded an abortion. He met Corey when he came home from the hospital. He knew Corey existed, but hid the truth from his family.
That's almost a shit-eating grin right there.
Yep.
And I keep watching this guy, and he's been told to show no outburst. He's been told that by his defense attorney already. But if you watch him, he's gritting his teeth, and he's got these little short. He's shaking his head no.
Yep, he did that a lot.
He's shaking his head no, but it's as shallow as it could possibly be, where it can still be seen, but he's not causing a ruckus or he's not causing a scene. But he's shaking his head no the whole time.
I know.
Yeah, this dude here is a special place.
For years. None of the Gregors wanted Corey. David Gregor told me Corey should have been aborted. This man has a long history of alcohol abuse, 2 DUIs, drug abuse, domestic violence resulting in a restraining order, and child abuse that started long before he had visitations with Corey. He abused an ex-girlfriend's son while they were living in the Gregor home in Monroe Township. The DCPMP case was closed after the girl moved out of state. The system failed Corey, but Chris Gregor and his family also failed Corey. This man has never had to answer for any bad behavior. It seems it always went away somehow. Your Honor, my life will never be the same. Corey was wanted, loved, and doted upon by my family. We enjoyed watching and helping Brianna raise him. I have difficulty going into a store and seeing little boy clothes and toys that Corey would have loved. In September, when everyone is preparing their kids to go back to school, I wonder what backpack or shoes Corey would have chosen. I can't go to my nephew's house or my great nephew's birthday parties because seeing them makes me sad. Corey should be at those parties. I find myself looking at kids who are the age Corey would have been, and I wonder what Corey would look like now. I cry several times a day. My physical appearance has changed. My health has declined. I've aged. I'm angry, sad, bitter, and mostly I'm broken. This man has shown no remorse as he sat through the trial. I watched every second, and he didn't shed a tear for Corey. He's had discussions with fellow inmates about wanting Brianna to be killed. I'm sure he doesn't think we heard about that, but with social media, things do get out. This is not a man who can be rehabilitated. My family lives in fear, wondering if he will attempt to have my daughter killed, because we all know what he's capable of. My granddaughter visits her brother's grave and sits on the ground and plays with toys left there for Corey by strangers from all over the world. This makes me so sad, watching Brianna watch her daughter play at Corey's resting place. Corey wanted a baby sister so bad, and now she's here, but he's not, and Chris Greger is the reason he isn't here. I often wonder what or how we will explain to my granddaughter that Corey isn't here. Do we tell her his father killed him, so then she can wonder if that's what daddies do? Your Honor, Corey also wanted a father, but instead he got this monster who ridiculed him, deprived him of food, love, compassion, and beat him and abused him daily until his final beating on April 2nd, 2021. Your Honor, Corey knew he was going to die. On the Sunday prior to Corey's death, just 5 days before his death, Corey was at my house and preparing to take a bath. When he undressed, he was covered in bruises in various stages of healing. One stuck out because it was very large, and it was on the left side of his chest. I had to turn away so Corey didn't see the tears in my eyes. Once Corey was dressed, we sat in my bed. Corey looked at me and he said, "Hey, Gima, does God see what my daddy does to me?" I told him God sees everything. His voice got very low. He said, "Why doesn't he help me?" My heart was breaking as I told him that God was helping someone else who needed him more right now. Corey then asked why his daddy wasn't going to hell. And I replied, "He will someday." That same Sunday, Corey was outside writing with chalk on the sidewalk. Later in the day, Brianna and I noticed that Corey had written, "I died," near our front door. Corey's curiosity about God, heaven, and death grew prior to his death. On April 2nd, when Corey was getting ready to go back to Chris Greger's house, I told him, "Take my cell phone and hide it and call when, not if, when his dad beats him." He said, "Gima, I can't." I told him to run to a neighbor, to which he replied, "I can't." His little face so serious. Corey knew nobody could help him. He knew he was going to die, and he accepted it. Your Honor, my conversation with Corey 5 days prior to his death and the day of his death will forever haunt me. My family was not allowed to be with Corey as he took his last breath because this man wouldn't tell us where Corey was. We weren't allowed to see Corey after he passed at the hospital because he was now evidence. My 6-year-old grandson was dead and now labeled evidence. This is what I have to live with every single day. Corey was taught in preschool by a lovely teacher, Kristen Oyen, that actions have consequences. Please teach this man that his actions have consequences. On May 1st, 2014, Corey Travis Micciolo was born. I was there holding Brianna's hand, and I was there to cut Corey's umbilical cord. When he was placed in my arms for that very first time, I whispered, "Hi, baby. I'm your grandma. I'll love you and protect you forever." Your Honor, I wasn't able to keep my promise to protect Corey, so I'm begging you to give Chris Greger the harshest punishment possible today. Corey Travis Micciolo loved the solar system. He loved to draw. He loved his mommy and his family. He was smart and funny. He loved helping others. Corey wanted a daddy, but instead, he got this monster, Chris Greger. Your Honor, please give Corey justice today. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments, ma'am.
That's heavy. Wow. I applaud your strength, Miss Rebecca. That is there is Miss Rebecca's link in the chat. If you guys would take a minute and please subscribe to her and just be, just be an ear that hears what she has to say. I mean, the name of her channel is Can You Hear Me Now?
Sorry,
Oh,
my
so-
dogs are barking.
No.
You're
It's
good.
okay.
Benny,
you have-
can I say something real quick?
please, absolutely, sir.
I just want to say, and I've listened to that before, but I've never actually listened to it with you on panel, Rebecca. I just want to tell you here that you are probably one of the strongest and bravest women I have probably ever met in my life.
For
To
sure.
be able to sit up there and say what you said and hold the conviction that you held in your voice that entire time, man, my hat's off to you. Absolutely amazing. I'm sorry you had to endure what you've had to endure, but you are a brave, strong woman.
I've got ladies right now texting me saying they are a mess.
Yeah, I do as well. I do as well. I do.
Yeah. That was super powerful, Rebecca. Okay. Is there anything you need to say right at this moment, Miss Rebecca?
Oh, no.
No, you're
No.
good? Okay. All right.
Yep,
Let's
I'm
move on
fine.
over to this here. This is just a short rundown. It's for anybody that didn't see from the beginning of the segment. This is kind of an understanding as to why people blame victims. Let's go ahead and listen to this.
I told you not to walk home alone.
Had you been drinking? You shouldn't have sent him those pictures. It gave him the wrong idea.
Victim blaming can manifest itself in many ways, from thoughtless comments by friends and family to prejudiced attitudes and behavior within the legal system. We typically find victim blaming attitudes for sex crimes, but it can also be seen in other types of crimes. Although a harmful behavior, there are some psychological explanations as to why people engage in victim blaming. Many people have a belief in a just world and that good things happen to good people. When something bad happens to a good person, it challenges our worldview, which leads us to feel vulnerable and that also we might be at risk. So to restore our belief in the world as just, we try to convince ourselves that the victim must have done something to deserve it. So if you find yourself questioning a victim's behavior, remember the psychological preconceptions that might be affecting your judgment.
There it is. I mean, it doesn't have to be a long drawn out thing, right? It's, I'm guessing, and we're going to kind of segue into a little bit more of the toddy stuff. That's why I have Ghost here. Ghost is what I would coin or term sort of an expert in who this woman is. I I think that the ego thing on the internet is such a very dangerous thing. I mean, even in our personal private lives, if you don't have a handle on your ego or you haven't effectively attempted to or successfully divorced yourself from a toxic ego, you're just going to be perpetually a victim of yourself. Now, that being said, we also have this sort of this ideal that if you have 18,000 subscribers and 400 people watch you per video, that you are some sort of celebrity, right? We also understand that fame is the strongest drug known to man, and that some people have a real disconnect in being able to decipher the difference between fame and infamy, right? There are people out there that will get together for whatever reasons. And I'll tell you right now, I would say that anybody that supports Toddy has never fully listened to that victim impact statement, because if they did, the very first time would be the last time they heard this creature talk bad about Rebecca, Corey, or Brianna, any of the family, right? Like this is a real problem, right? Because Corey is a real child and Rebecca is a real grandmother, and she's also a real victim of this tragedy as well. I mean, I've heard people say before that that one of the worst victims are the victims that are left behind, right? Those are some of the most intense victims, right? I'm not trying to discount or take away anything that little Corey went through, but you got to understand that Corey is in a better place. Rebecca is here and she's having to deal with this thing every day. When she wakes up, it's a new day, right?
Right.
And I applaud you for having made it this far in your journey, right? And I heard you say in the beginning of the segment that because of stuff happening on the YouTube, you are now having to seek um, more therapy. Is that correct?
Yeah, I've had to reach out more often than, I usually do because I just started to question myself, like, well, am I bitter and angry and I don't see it? Like, is this how people see me or is it, and so I kind of had to just confirm that, I don't come across that way. When I'm provoked, I do, um, obviously, but, it started to, it's upsetting to hear the things that Toddy is saying. And, she's not the only person that says negative stuff, but it's upsetting to hear it come from her because, I've not said anything horrible about her to warrant such behavior.
Let me ask you a quick question. Are you familiar with who Brandy Vaughn or Brandy Neal is?
They had the little boy, they call him Monkey, is that right?
Monkey. Yeah, Monkey, Michael Vaughn.
Yeah, yeah, I'm sort of familiar with the case.
I will reach out to Brandy, and I think if you'd be willing, I think that you two could complement each other's journey. If you're not up to date with what's going on, they have Stacy Wandra. He is one of the suspects. He's jailed. He's been charged, and then there are three outstanding that she has a very close relationship with law enforcement and to some degree the district attorney and prosecutors. If you'd be willing, I think that you guys probably would probably get off famously. You guys are navigating pretty much the same situation, and I think that where you are with your journey, having all your post trial and sentencing, she's still she's still in the pre-trial stuff, right? And I think that
Right.
it might be a powerful you guys might be a powerful force together. And so if you'd be willing, I will definitely do my best to try to get you guys together.
Oh, that'd be great. I'd love that.
Okay, perfect. Okay, moving forward. This is moderators, please don't even hesitate. This isn't going to be one of those streams. Hold on, let me give out another wrench here. Okay. This is going to be a little bit of Christopher's plea for leniency. That's what I call it. Anytime you make a statement to the court before sentencing, he's pleading for leniency. So let's go ahead, and I'm not going to go all the way through this. Again, I just want you to hear the guy, and so you can put sort of a persona with what you've heard about the guy so far. Let's go ahead, and there we go. Okay.
Acknowledge receipt of the sentencing memorandum by defense counsel, the sentencing memorandum by the state, some additional exhibits by the state, and a variety of letters, which I'll discuss in detail later. Mr. Greger, sir, is there anything you'd like to say about yourself or your case?
Yes, Your Honor.
Please go ahead.
Just want to say thank you for the opportunity to speak today. And Brianna, we haven't talked since Corey passed away. With everything that has been said, just want to tell you that I'm sorry that you lost Corey.
Wow.
He was, to say simply, the best. I know we'll miss him for the rest of our lives. And the 2 years that I knew Corey were very difficult, but they were the greatest years of my life. And he was a happy, energetic, loving, radiant young boy who flourished in his life in all aspects the last year of his life. And sorry. That will be how I remember him. And Corey, wherever you are, I just want to say that I'm proud of you.
Man, when you cry, your face supposed to get wet.
Everything that you did. The last months of his life, us three, Brianna, Corey, and me, we spent more time together than apart. All those hikes and walks, trips to the beach, time spent playing football and all the other sports, going to Sky Zone, the park, the playground, sledding, and all of that, I saw how much Brianna loved Corey, how much he loved her, and how well we could co-parent together. Those memories and all the good times, they'll be what I remember, and they helped me get through the tough days. And I hope that they can help you too, Brianna. I'm sorry you believe I could have done this to our son, and it pains me to know that you view my actions those months together as ingenuine, that I could have hurt the most important person in my life. What happened on March 20th was inexcusable. To you, Brianna, your family, and mine, I want to apologize that you had to see Corey treated that way. He never deserved it.
Yeah, I think I've almost heard enough already. I don't know about you, Miss Rebecca or Ghost, that he's almost trying to align himself with Rebecca and Brianna, like he lost Corey too, right? Or
Right,
he
he's
is
trying to act like they were in this relationship. You know, he's talking about these hikes and trips to the beach and all this stuff. And, you know, it didn't come out in court, but truth be told, my daughter had no choice but to conform to his ways or Corey would get abused. So she had to do whatever Chris said in order to be over there, even on Chris's parenting days, so Corey didn't get abused. And if she said
right,
she didn't want to do something, then he would send her home and Corey would get abused.
right. It was like punishing her by making her leave him there with Chris.
Yes, exactly.
So does he have any other children,
Not that I'm aware of.
Christopher?
No, I don't think
Okay.
so.
All right. Thank God for that.
But he's
Yeah.
All right.
abused another child in the past, right before he started having, you know, custody and visitation with Corey. There was
Right.
a report through DCPMP that he was abusing his live-in girlfriend's child, but she packed up and moved back to Virginia or wherever she was from, and that case went away.
It's wild. So we have a guy he's a frequent flyer here, and
Yeah.
no one, the gal that moved away out of state, that was also in New Jersey.
She lived in New Jersey with Chris in his parents' house, and you know, right when he first started seeing Corey. And then, you know, he was abusing her son, and she didn't want to lose custody of her son to her son's father. So she just picked up and left so the case would go away.
God.
And she could have told me. She had my phone number. She should have warned me what was going on, and she didn't. So shame on her. But she's getting her karma.
I mean, yeah, karma, it comes and it goes.
It does
Yeah.
come.
Yeah,
It's not even coming for me. I don't have to do anything. She knows what I'm talking about.
I'm sure she does. So during the process of the trial, was Christopher's childhood ever brought into the discussion about?
No,
No.
nothing was allowed to be brought up. The only thing that was allowed to be brought up is my family and how terrible my daughter was and my family. We couldn't talk about Chris's criminal past or anything because he was never convicted of things. They always went away, like I mentioned in my statement. So those things weren't allowed to come up.
So is he an only child?
No, he has a
Okay.
sister and two brothers.
Okay. Is he the youngest?
No, he has a brother that's younger.
So he's kind of in the middle, so to
Yeah.
speak. Is there any reason to believe that potentially Christopher was abused to some degree, form, or facet as a youngster?
I believe so. I think his
Yeah.
dad being the cop, you know, and
Yeah.
I'm not going to lie, I don't like the police, so I'm not even going to make an excuse. He's a
Sure.
cop's kid, and I think cops hold their kids to a higher standard. You got to do good, you got to be the best, you can't, disappoint. And I think that David Greger was very hard on his kids, but more specifically, I think Chris, because Chris was such a fuck up.
He was a standout, but in the wrong way.
Yeah.
Okay. Was his dad present during the proceedings?
Yeah.
Okay. What has there during the investigative portion of this? Because this is just my opinion. I think that his dad could have played some role in having a position that would allow the abuse to continue for Corey. That there had to have been some sort of oversight, and that his dad being, I just feel like his dad has had a sway in some of this. Did you ever feel that way?
Oh, most definitely. And we
Okay.
said that, we let that be known. And within the local police department where we all lived, we would go to the police because Chris would be stalking us. He slashed my tires, he was found right down the street from my house at 2 a.m. after my tires were slashed. The cops pulled him over and, oh, my dad's a retired state trooper, blah, blah, blah. Okay, Chrissy, go home. And it was like, well, you can't prove it was him. It was like he always got away with everything. And I'm certain it was because of that.
That an oversight. Yeah. Wow. You got anything to add to the conversation at this point, Ghost?
No, I'm still just blown away at all this. I'm learning new stuff, so it's a lot.
We're going to call your expertise to the stand now, if you will. For anyone out there, and including myself, I know that Miss Rebecca is very versed on who Toddy is, but that's from her experience with Toddy. I'm not discounting or taking away from that at all. I 1000% understand. I think the dynamic between Toddy and Rebecca is that, Rebecca has been this sort of this cornerstone of content, if you will, and that Toddy, to a degree, even with the Monday addiction talk, it's Rebecca being a victim and the grandmother of Corey, that there's, the exclusivity of having access to Rebecca in this hunt to keep Rebecca away from other places that's not Toddy One Skip's channel, right? Give me your appraisal of Toddy outside looking through the window as you would see Toddy and Rebecca, or Toddy and anyone. Tell me what your take on Toddy is.
So, and I've had a couple people actually come to me, email me before and tell me like, look, Toddy came to me to try and she wanted to basically use my story for content. And, ultimately I told her no, because she was kind of, excuse my language, but she was kind of a bitch. That's what 90% of them said that came to me. And it was funny because they all had the same instance. It was all Toddy would reach out, say, hey, I would like to interview you, yada, yada, yada. There was a couple that said I went to Toddy and asked if I could come on her show. And they, ultimately ended up the same as well. She'd be like I said, she'd be one of those to her. And it was more of just wanting it for clicks and views instead of wanting it to put a story out there, if you will. So ultimately, like once seeing that, and then once hearing Rebecca's story, like it was clear as day to me to see like, okay, so Toddy basically, and I have to say it like this, Toddy infiltrated, because that's exactly what she did, into Rebecca's life, her personal life. And in my opinion, she 100% used that for clicks and views and exploitation. There's no doubt in my mind for her to turn and do what she's doing now and be on the attack to Rebecca. That never once says, that doesn't say to me that, oh, I was genuine in my content when I tried to put Rebecca's story out there. And you know, Rebecca she more than likely probably disagrees with me. But like Benny said, from the outside looking in, it's clear as day that Toddy will use you if you have any type of trauma, any type of anything along those lines. He will use that for clicks and views.
Well, now I think that to piggyback on what you're saying in terms of maybe Rebecca feeling different than how you see it, I think that would make Toddy the sort of a successful exploiter, because the rest of us maybe see it a certain way, but as long as Rebecca sees it differently, then Toddy's still maybe in control in some sort of way, right? Or at least Rebecca doesn't feel that Toddy is the POS that maybe some of us see her as being, right? That would make the dynamic of what Toddy does even that much more scarier, in my opinion. Now, one of the things that it just befuddles me. I cannot wrap my mind around it. Rebecca had mentioned in the beginning part of this that Toddy feels like she's going to relay some secrets, right? Now, when somebody says that, sort of the connotation that is on it is that, now I'm not saying that there's anything bad or about your secrets or that there's any secrets, right, Rebecca? But
Right.
when Toddy says that, what she's telling people about you is that I know about these bad secrets that Rebecca has told me. Now, this is the interesting part. I'm going to tell you about these bad secrets that Rebecca told me while we were friends. Meanwhile, I was okay with them while we were friends, and now that we're sort of on the riff, or we're wayward, I'm going to tell you about them now. I'm not cool with them anymore when I was cool with them before. Again, I'm not saying that she knows anything bad about you, but I'm just relaying it in a way that all of a sudden now these secrets she wants to tell, she was okay with them for the duration of your time together. Now all of a sudden they're a problem. That, I think, when it's painted out that when that situation that I'm describing is painted that way and that people can hear it, I think that it's very easy to see someone like Toddy for who they are, because Toddy's not the only one. That is an internet phenomenon, not just YouTube, but it's an internet phenomenon. It's like, yeah, no, while we're friends, I'll deal with all your dirty laundry and I'll keep it quiet. But as soon as we're not friends no more, shame on you. I'm going to tell all the things I was cool with, right? So that my mother used to tell me when I was little. Oh, Mom, somebody said this and this and this about me. My mother would always say, you have to consider the source, son. And I think that that's what everyone needs to do in terms of Toddy. You have to consider the source, right? Somewhat now, and this is an interesting dynamic, because people will tell you everything you need to know by telling you nothing at all, or by telling you the exact opposite, right? So while she's secondary victimizing and victim bashing Rebecca and her family, what Toddy is automatically doing is aligning herself on the side with Christopher. You have to know that that's exactly what it is. She doesn't have to come right out and say she supports Christopher. In fact, she could vehemently deny the fact that she could hate Christopher with her words. But when you are bashing and re-victimizing Rebecca and her family or Corey's memory, what you're doing is you're aligning with Christopher automatically, right? It's hands down. There's no two ways around it. It is what's happening, right? So, tell me, Ghost, at what point did you jump in? What was the thing that you saw Rebecca going through in terms of Toddy's involvement with her? What was the thing that Ghost said, okay, I've seen enough. I'm involved now.
So I'll give you a quick rundown. I actually knew about Toddy when I was in the Whitaker sphere. Okay, when Toddy, because we know
One second,
Toddy has. Yeah.
1 second, Ghost. I hate to interrupt you, but I got to.
Oh, go ahead.
Brandy, this is Miss Rebecca. This is Miss Neal. This is Monkey Vaughn's mother, Rebecca. B Mama V. Is there a way, Brandy, that I can get you and Rebecca together? So, if you're not aware, Rebecca's grandson was Corey McCauley. His father, Christopher, has been convicted and is now in the penitentiary for aggravated manslaughter, but we're going to call it murder. He murdered his son, and Rebecca has went through the whole proceedings. Now, the thing that would be different is that Brandy's situation is there's going to be 4 proceedings. With Rebecca, there was 1. I would love to see if I could get Brandy, you and Rebecca together. I think you guys would hit it off famously. And I think that you guys could be a great support system for each other. Is there a way that I can do you have an email possibly that we can get to Rebecca, or is there an email, Rebecca, that you feel comfortable sharing publicly?
Oh, sure. Everybody has my email. I have no problem giving that out.
What is it?
It's my first name, Rebecca, my last name, Micciolo, 3@gmail.
Micciolo?
Yes. And the number 3@gmail.
3@gmail. There. Okay. There it is. If you wanted to, Brandy, maybe reach out. And again, I think you guys would hit it off famously. And in fact, Brandy, I don't know. I know you were running pay dirt last I saw you through your gold sleuth. If you wanted to come up and say anything, you're more than welcome. If not, no pressure. But again, as soon as I made contact with Rebecca, the first thing Brandy Vaughn Neal, she flew right into my mind, and I thought, I got to try to get these 2 ladies together. You guys are definitely kindred spirits, kindred sisters. And okay, great. She has your email, Rebecca, and I guess time will tell. I think it will be a great thing for both of you.
It is a really good idea, though.
Yeah, and I can tell you this, that I'm not sure if you're familiar with the Summer Wells situation, Miss Rebecca, but Brandy made herself available to the Wells in that way. And I think that, I'm pretty sure Brandy just got sick and tired of the inadequacies of the Wells. In fact, anytime Brandy would come around, Brandy would say, Don, Candace, how long has your daughter been missing? And then Brandy would be able to tell the Wells how long their own daughter had been missing, to the day. Wow. Every day she was counting the days. So yeah, Brandy is a powerful gal. And she definitely she does live streams where she just updates, whatever the new goings ons are. And then she also just comes on and shows what she's doing with her life. She likes the gold prospect. She likes to go up in the mountains and just kind of get away. So prayers to both of you. Okay, sorry. Sorry, Ghost. If you remember where you were at. Okay.
Yeah. I got this. So Act Right actually has set a comment in chat, and I can actually explain that, Act Right. So I got involved in the Whitaker sphere. There was a couple things that we won't go into detail or anything like that, but a couple things threw me off there. I knew of Rebecca then. I always, and this kind of pertains to your question, Act Right. I always, like, when I would see, okay, so Rebecca was with Toddy, and then correct me if I'm wrong, Rebecca Jamie, I believe her name is. Mm-hmm. And I always felt like, and you have to understand where I'm coming from, I always felt like Rebecca was out of place. I felt like you had these 2 individuals that were up there and just loving the drama and literally soaking it in. As then you had Rebecca, which is somebody that's trying to grow, trying to elevate, if you will, and trying to help along the way. So in that, like, that's kind of how I got started. It was the Whitaker stuff, and Toddy was in the Whitaker sphere doing the same thing she does in all the other places she goes. She goes many places. So then she moves on to these other things, and she does these other things. You know, she's constantly making crap up. Like she said she doxed me, and she completely got the wrong docs. Said I had all these charges that I don't even have. Like, I don't even know what she's talking about. So then it progressed on, and then I noticed, like, at one time there was a fallout between Toddy and Jamie, and it seemed like kind of Rebecca was still there, and I'm like, okay, that's interesting. And then it kind of like completely reversed, and then all of a sudden it's Jamie and Toddy, and they're basically threatening Rebecca, especially Jamie. And at that point, once the threats came out, I was like, okay, enough is enough. Like, I don't know what you Karens, excuse my language, but I don't know what you Karens are so upset at Rebecca about, considering all she said was some stuff about, we got to understand, this was all started because Rebecca said something about Facebook. That was it.
That was it.
I think that what you understand is that probably if it's something as benign as that it was just, it was going to happen, clearly, right? Like,
Yep.
it was going to happen. She was just looking for a reason, right?
That's what I said.
Yeah, just looking for a reason to, because I'll tell you what, there is so much, the drama sphere, and this is just a short rundown, but the drama sphere in any community, the payoff to do the drama is so much higher, right? And I'll tell you why. It's because there's a lady called Jolene Lunzer, I think is her name. She is very hip to, and I've been knowing for years, that drama creates a larger dopamine and serotonin release because you're getting to watch people cuss and they're slinging mud and all. The feel-good chemical is much higher when you're involved in drama or the toxicity than it is when you're doing something positive, right? Now, for instance, we've got 120 people here. If I was dragging somebody for filth, there'd be 300 or 400 people here to watch that, right? Yep. It's just that it's human dynamic, right? And then you realize that dopamine is very addictive. It's why people jump out of helicopters and airplanes and skydive, bungee jump. Once you are dependent on that boost of dopamine from watching YouTube drama, you're going to go back to it. And that's what you're searching for. You're all the time looking for the next drama. And guess what? There's people that do great drama, right? Ghost is one of them, right? Like it is. Sure. Yeah, I have to be careful watching Ghost's drama because it's so good that occasionally when I watch it, I'm like, yeah, I got to go back and search for another one or another, and it's like, it's one of those things. And so that's sort of the dynamic of it, right? I think for Toddy, the lady has 19,000 subscribers, but has a hard time breaking 1,000 views. I'm not a numbers person at all. But when people, when their channel is experiencing a lull, drama is the best boost, right? You can go from very medial numbers to more acceptable numbers for one's own threshold of what acceptable is. You'll sort of shoot into a higher expectation of views if it's drama related, right? So what comes with that is the diehard people that are going to support Toddy no matter what, right? Then you've got the people that are oppositional. They're indifferent to who Toddy is, but they're oppositional to what she's doing to you. And then you have the people that are just there for the drama, whether they're indifferent or not. So the drama starts to bring in a lot more viewers and different viewers, right? And when she sees the influx, she is then motivated to keep the influx going by just drama. Now, I don't know enough about the lady, but I'm guessing just having you there with her it didn't justify what the drama brings. Am I right or wrong?
I think that's pretty accurate. I mean,
Yeah.
because she even told me that, my stuff pretty much people are getting tired of hearing about my dead grandson and all that.
Oh,
So maybe I should do something funny or maybe just get rid of my channel altogether.
wow.
Yeah.
Jeez.
So
Holy cow.
That,
So
when I hear that, that blows that. I'm sorry to interrupt, but that blows my mind every time I hear it. For somebody to come along and say, "You get rid of your channel because you're going to take away my views."
that's it.
Don't tell your
Exactly what it
story
is.
because that hurts my channel. Wild.
Absolutely. Absolutely. It was sort of the same phenomenon happened with the Wells. And when I just refused to house it anymore, well, sort of when that was tapering off, they created the Wells Family Official channel, and they would do static, pre-recorded videos, but a lot of people didn't like the idea of them having their own channel because that really limited where they would go when they were drunk or in various shades of intoxication. Now they have this image for their channel, which is Dr. Phil type stuff and yada, yada, yada. It really started to limit and kind of hamstring them just going on random panels, because you used to just be able to, put F Don and Candace in the title and boom, here they come. Right. So, it for what it's worth, it's, the ploy is easy to identify. Tell me about this. Tell me what you know about this, Ghost, because I found this. So in my little research or whatever, right? This is Toddy. Now, for anyone that's not aware, and I think everyone here is very aware of the ideal or the ideology of having a backup channel, right? Do you have a backup channel, Ghost?
I have a few backup channels, yeah.
Well, I mean, one that you pretty much do what you're going to do on your main channel all the time, right?
Correct. I don't mess with my backup channel. Like I don't go live from them. I don't do anything with them. They're just kind of hanging out there.
In the event of.
Yeah, exactly. There you go.
Yeah.
There you go.
So this lady has a dedicated backup channel, and the ideal of a backup channel, for anyone that doesn't know, a backup channel like this is to go on and do the things that if you did these over on your main channel, these would put you at risk of losing monetization or losing the channel altogether, right? So
Correct.
this lady does this is like throwing a stone and hiding your hand. Now, let me ask you really quick, Rebecca, who is this guy right here? Who is Phil?
I have no clue. I've never had any interaction with him my whole time dealing with Toddy. And it seems like he's just somebody that randomly she gets together with to pretty much, he seems like a therapist. He just sits and listens mostly, but I really don't know who he is. And I want to just mention, when
Sure.
we first came into contact with Toddy, she had her channel, Toddy One Skip. And when we started talking more, and my son Gino had passed away from, an overdose.
Wow.
Sorry.
I said, oh man, I want to talk more about this. I want to do something, whatever. And she said, well, we could talk about it, but we'll do it on my other channel. And that's when she introduced me to Everybody Has a Story to Tell. I didn't even know she had another channel. And
Wow.
that's the channel she introduced me on Mondays. It's just, I don't know.
Oops. Did you feel like that was sort of a disingenuous move for her to do that?
Well, I didn't know enough about YouTube and stuff, and I just thought, well, this lady knows what she's talking about. Obviously she didn't want to, put a topic of addiction on her other channel. That's more for other stories. I took her word for it, and that's why I was like, yeah, I was ready. I just wanted to have somewhere to go and be heard. So she gave me that opportunity, and that's where we're at.
Now you
So
can go ahead,
go
Ghost.
ahead.
You got it.
So here's a quick little thing, Rebecca. I don't know if you've ever thought about this before, but do you remember when Toddy would say, "Okay, this channel is for this channel is for this, and this channel is for this," right? She kind of like took these 3 channels and she let them in these little communities, right? So do you
Right.
remember when she actually would be like, "Oh, well, that everybody has a story to tell. That's for the Whitaker content." Do you remember her saying that?
I think I do recall that, but I've got to be honest, I didn't follow a lot of her stuff. I only dealt with her for my Monday morning thing, and I would go on randomly and like something just because I felt like I owed her that for giving me the platform to talk about addiction and stuff. And,
Yeah,
so I didn't follow a lot of her stuff because it didn't interest me. And I was living my own real life drama, so I didn't need to worry
right.
about Whitakers and Gypsy Rose. I'm living my own nightmare, and
Right.
so, but I do
This
recall that she would do that. She would decide which channel was for what topic.
So here's something to think about. What's really funny is if you notice, like, and this is kind of what Benny touched on. There's only certain things she'll put on certain channels. You notice most of her quote unquote drama goes on to Everybody Has a Story to Tell with Toddy One skip, because if you remember correctly, I'll bring up a time when she posted a picture on her main channel of a certain content creator's significant other, and just some a person that was deceased. He's not here with us anymore. She posted that on her main channel, and the amount of crap she got for that was overwhelming, because it was quite disgusting, to be honest with you. Like,
She
just
got
the like,
ratioed.
yeah, big.
Yeah.
Oh man, it was bad. And so now you see a lot of this stuff that she's doing now. You'll see she puts over on this channel. Well, the other night when I called her out on it, she actually took the video off of this channel and goes and puts it over on her main channel, which basically proved my point, more or less, that Toddy's scared to put the drama on her main channel. And I just called her out, and she's just not smart enough to figure it out yet, but she'll get it. So I just
Well,
I just wanted to point that out.
absolutely. I think this is, you can kind of track it with the numbers. That's what's important about the numbers is, you can kind of see what's, you know, kind of what's wanted or what's being viewed. You can kind of see that just her regular, non-drama stuff, the views aren't real crazy, crazy, crazy. But then when you start getting into the Whitaker stuff, or any of her stuff, well, her recent stuff about Brooks, these things they kind of pop off. What I do recognize, pardon me, right off the bat, is that this channel is monetized too. So in terms of monetization, I think AdSense, you're allowed to have, Ghost, maybe, I think you're allowed to have 3,
I can't remember off the top. I think it's 3 or
3
5 or something like that. I can't remember.
yeah, you're allowed to have a couple, few, or 5 different accounts from different platforms on your AdSense, right? Now, I would tell her, because I'm guessing she doesn't know, if these things she's putting over here, she feels like would jeopardize her other channel. Well, if you have your monetization under the umbrella of one account, then anything you do over here that would jeopardize this channel will jeopardize the monetization for the other channel as well. So that's where you kind of get into that slippery slope where, believe me, I know, right? So
Yeah.
if she screws up on this channel trying to keep this stuff over here away from her big channel, if she's demonetized or loses it here, she's in jeopardy of losing it on the other channel that doesn't get very much play either.
Facts. Hmm?
So moving to this, and I know I've kept you longer than I said I would, Miss Rebecca. We're narrowing down here. And I think that you may have a better ideology of this scenario here. But what you're seeing here, this is a response to this. Whoop, hold on. This is a response to this. right? Now, what this is about is that allegedly, even if it's $1, allegedly Toddy, she streams Sunday services from some church in particular, and that she has been accruing. I don't want to say soliciting because I don't know that to be true, but she is
Right.
accruing donations. And what has she said in response to these donations, Ghost?
Her response to the donations, because if I'm not, I might not be correct on this, but I know this was said, is I don't know if it was during a church stream or not, but she said, "Oh, well, don't worry, when I get back on my feet and I get my income back in, like I'll donate to the church." Wait,
Right.
what?
That's kind of telling on yourself, isn't it?
Yeah, it's like, okay, well, you just made everyone's job so much easier. Thank you, you know?
Right. Rebecca, did she ever offer you anything for being on her channel or so on and so forth?
Oh, I think we lost Rebecca.
Oh, there she is. I didn't even know you dropped down.
Oh, yeah.
There she is.
No, never. I mean, I do want to make one thing perfectly clear, though. When we first were, I think my daughter was in contact with Toddy before I ever came in the picture. And it was just during my grandson's trial. Toddy had reached out somehow and wanted to cover the story.
Mhm.
And, of course, we were willing to tell the story to anybody who would listen. We wanted to get it out there. So, of course, we
Right.
did some interviews with her. And I want to say this. Toddy did take up, I think, donations during the trial because my daughter was taking time off work. And, Toddy was still working back then at her job and had gotten a bonus or something. And Toddy did send her whole bonus check, or at least what she said was a bonus check, and sent it to my daughter. So, I mean, I'm going to give credit where credit is due. Toddy did do that, and we were grateful for that, of course, and but as far as me being on her channel, I didn't receive any, like, if she got donations or anything, I didn't
Right.
benefit from any of that.
Okay. Okay. T Rolling for Jesus here says that Toddy was supposed to donate 10% of her income tax to the Whitaker family too. She never did. Do you know anything about
That's
that,
true.
Ghost?
That
Is
is
it?
true. She at one time, yeah, she I believe it's on this channel. I couldn't tell you where, but she does say that she at one time she said, "I'm going to donate 10% of my income tax this year to the Whitaker family so they can get what the stuff they need." And then it came along, tax time came along, and Toddy was like, "Oh, I owe taxes," or some pathetic excuse, and obviously it never happened. And she's like, "Well, I'll do it next year," and it's like, "Yeah, okay, Toddy."
I'll still only donate 10%, but next year, not 20 to
Yeah, that's exactly it too. That's exactly it. You're exactly right.
Wow. Okay. Well, this kind of brings us to the closing part. I want to, not really sure how to ask it than to just kind of ask it. Rebecca, do you feel or do you know that Toddy has ever defamed you or Corey or your daughter in any way?
Well, I mean, she has been lately. I've seen it on her YouTube,
Like
her and her
straight
friend Jamie.
defamation?
I mean, saying that I had a DUI when I didn't, I don't know if that's considered defaming.
Yeah, I
It's
mean
not true.
anything that would be reputational damage. I think that a lot of people, they have a misconception that, or they've bought into an idea that defamation payoffs are only if you can prove a dollar amount that you've lost, which is not true. That
Right.
would certainly seal a defamation in terms of making defamatory statements against someone who is a business owner, or for instance, these YouTubers that sue each other for defamation. In the Ryan Upchurch case, right? Specifically, I don't know if you're aware of who Ryan Upchurch is. He's a Nashville, Tennessee country rapper. He's had a lot of problems recently, familial issues. But a couple of years ago with the what case was that? Rodney Kiley. It was a young girl from California who had attended a party, and she had got intoxicated, and she had inadvertently, accidentally driven her vehicle into a lake, and she passed away. Well, the no, it's Kylie Rodney. Sorry. The Rodney case was huge all over the internet. People were covering it, and there was videos they were tracking down, and they were going through all of the videos and photos of people at the party, and they were trying to background search them all. And so this Ryan Upchurch, he he went on the internet, and he made he was just getting involved in the true crime, just toxically getting involved. He would jump on live streams here and there and there. And he basically, what he said is that the girl wasn't real, and that the family was scamming with a GoFundMe. This was before they found her, right? She was still missing. Well, they ended up finding her, and these things that he said, the grandfather, he went to court, and he never stopped fighting. They went to they went to deposition. They did all of the proceedings to Upchurch was willing to settle out of court. And what it came down to was he was ordered to pay $18 million in damages, right? Now, if Toddy has done anything that has been reputationally harmful to you, I would definitely look into it. Of course, there's a route to it. I understand that you have some other stuff going on. An attorney could simply do a cease and desist. That would be your first route. And then, of course, a cease and desist is only it's only a cheerful reminder that if you continue on with this behavior after being served with this cease and desist, that it can then automatically go to a civil litigation for defamation or libel. So,
Right.
Speaking with Ghost prior to the live stream, I told him that I loved every second of the live stream he did yesterday. That's my kind of humor. Like I get it. I'm for it. But what I wanted to do tonight is I wanted Toddy to see you and Corey as humans. You two are human. You two are not the subject of content. You two are not to be frontline Toddy one skip low hanging fruit or fodder for content. You are human, and that you have been through a very inhuman situation, and that to even like, it's better to not speak than to speak the way that I know she's speaking, right? And so this is really my appeal to Toddy, that Toddy, Rebecca is human. Okay. She's going to make mistakes like all of us, right? But when you've been through what Rebecca has been through, there are certainly limitations to the depths in which we ought find ourselves going, right? And that I understand that Toddy lives in an RV somewhere, and that this strange meth cabin she puts as a background behind her is, I guess, an upgrade from where she actually lives. I would just
Somehow, I don't know.
somehow, I would just say, Toddy, if like, and this is in no form or way a threat. I'm just saying, if I was Toddy, I would stop, right? Because the ideal, and I have something to lose. It doesn't sound like Toddy has a lot to lose. However, what can be tied up is future earnings. There's all sorts of financial punishment that can come with losing a defamation suit, right? And that when you are the victim of a crime, and some of these things that we discussed early on, like secondary victimization, victim bashing, these things would be put together in the deposition, and they would be a very hard hard deposition for her to try to get through. So what I would say is I'm just appealing to the human that I hope is inside Toddy, that just leave Rebecca alone, move on, right? I think you even got to be careful in the Whitaker sphere. Like there's stuff flying around over there. There's stuff flying around everywhere. Find something else to talk about, because Rebecca and Corey, they should be off limits when it comes to any sort of negative publicity or whatever she calls what she does on her channel, right? And that's just the kindest way that I can say it, right? Like, leave Rebecca alone. This is not a call to action for you to do more, right? I'm not attacking your character because I have Ghost here, and he does what he does on his channel. It doesn't mean that I'm bringing him here to attack your character. I would just ask you to be an adult of what appears to be 65 or older and just move on, right? Show the sort of maturity that we would expect someone with very short gray hair and a backwards ball cap. Show the maturity we would expect you to possess, right? And just leave her alone and move on. Man, this isn't an ego war, right? I think that anytime you talk about a war of the worlds between Rebecca, and it's not even a war that she's waging, but this perceived war between Toddy and Rebecca, because I think that that's probably how Toddy wants to express it to everyone. Rebecca and her family, Brianna, Corey, they should all be off limits, right? Just leave them alone, right? And move on. It's not like you're seeing such an uptick in views or monetary performance that really, it doesn't convince you that you're doing the right thing, because you're not doing the right thing. And the other thing is that now there's a lot of other people that got their eyes on it, Toddy. There's a lot of us watching. And I think that it would just tuck tail and go. No one's going to think you're a coward. We'll applaud you if you go the other way. We're not going to say, look, Toddy, she lost, we won. No, we want you to just kindly go the other way and just stop it right now, kind of thing.
I mean, let's look at it like this. If that was to happen, I mean, I've already done it once before where I've been like, Toddy's boring content. Like, I don't really want to blah.
You don't want to cover her anymore, kind of deal.
Yeah. And it's like, when she sees that dip, she's got to go back to that drama, and there she is again.
Yeah. Hey, Brooks, how you doing, sweetheart?
Brooks.
It's amazing because I saw that the album art here, if you can, or the background art here is a picture of Rebecca kissing Corey, and I had initially had the same picture pulled up, and I thought, nah, I don't. It was a very sweet picture. And one thing I do when I'm going through these things and researching, I seem to always find what I would describe as my favorite picture. Like, this picture down below here is like, of all the pictures I saw of Corey, that's my favorite picture right here. He just looks, the eyes, and he's present in the moment. Right. And I think that's a great picture. But I did see this picture in the background here of her kissing Corey, and I thought that was just a very tender moment.
Yeah.
So, yeah. And it's crazy that I had it already back there, and she has it as her background on her channel. That's awesome. So I'm going to go ahead again and share Rebecca's channel, and I look forward. I am a new subscriber. I look forward to seeing you put things on there, Rebecca. Why is it not letting me? Are you are you hip to doing live streams or anything, Rebecca?
Yeah, I do my Tuesday show about addiction and recovery, but I'm working with a friend of mine, Mindy, who's been helping me, and we're going to do a lot more. We want to, we just want to be more present, and just really get the channel up and running and try to help other people going through like situations, similar situations that I went through.
Are you in recovery?
That's what it's all about. No, no, I have never, well, I mean, Snickers, Twix, Milky Way, that was my,
Those
addiction,
count.
but,
Those do count.
Those count.
I just, from what I learned with my son and
Yeah.
going through, he was in detox rehab and, it's a subject I feel strongly about. And I always say I have no formal training. It's just my own personal experience, but sometimes
Mhm.
that's all somebody needs to hear, and I'm just
Absolutely.
there for anybody struggling like with addiction, or if they're going through something like my daughter went through with, the child abuse and what happened to my grandson. I'm there to listen to, I mean, if it's something like filling out court papers, we've been there, done that. I can help, and
Yeah.
that's what I tell everybody. I'm just there to help. I just want
Well,
to
I
share my story
am
and help others.
absolutely. I am in recovery. My sober date is April 23rd, 2024. I have
Wonderful.
810 days today. That's 2 years, 2 months, and 18
Congratulations.
days. Thank you.
Congratulations.
So if you ever have one of your weekly addiction shows, and I could be so blessed, come over and talk about my experience, or if anything, any of the resources I have would be applicable, please do not hesitate to contact me, and I would love to come over and talk with you guys about addiction and recovery for sure.
We'd love to have you. I love to hear real people's stories, and that's what I'm looking for. I don't want to Google, famous people that struggled. I want to hear real people, like us. I want to know how
I
you
would
did it, what you did. I like to hear that.
definitely be down. Let's make it a date.
We will
That
do
would be
that.
awesome.
Definitely. That'd be great.
Okay. So we have come to the 2 hour and 10 minute mark. I'm gonna kind of just open up in closing. Is there anything that you comments, questions, concerns, burning desires, anything that you want them to know closing out, Miss Rebecca?
I just want to say I don't want to harp on the Toddy stuff, but I do know that she's not done yet. Another video or a live stream that she did was brought to my attention right before I came on here with you. So she's not done. She thinks that she has some deep, dark secrets on me. And maybe I led her to believe that I was confiding in her, but she doesn't have anything on me. My whole life has been public since 2021 with this whole trial and everything. There's nothing that Toddy knows that all of you don't already know if you Google my name. So, Toddy, I know you think you have a secret, you and your woman Milk there, but guess what? You don't know anything that everybody else doesn't already know. So, sorry to tell you, you don't have anything on me. So, you might as well give it up now.
Amen.
And just be done. Go back to doing what you do. There's enough room here on YouTube for all of us. So
Absolutely.
that's that. That's all I got to say. I mean,
Well said.
that's it.
Ghost, comments, questions, concern, burning desires, anything you want to leave us with?
I just want to thank everybody that's been in support, following me, that's followed Rebecca. Look, I'm just a voice. It's really you guys that are, going over there and showing Rebecca support and showing her that you guys are there for her. I really cannot thank you guys enough from the bottom of my heart. I really do thank everybody, Benny included. Thank you, Benny.
You're
All of
welcome, man.
Benny's
Thank you.
mods, all of Benny people over here, everybody. I really do thank you guys for showing Rebecca support. It means so much to me.
Yeah, it was a very, very simple decision. In fact, Brooks called me and she ran it by me real quick, and then she brought Rebecca into the call and we chatted for a little bit, and then I did some of my own research. I listened to your take on sort of the Toddy situation. Pardon me. And I just thought, yeah, this is something that I can get behind. right? Like this is
Yeah.
this is a Christian cause, right? And I would do it again in a heartbeat. I think again, I just want to reiterate to Miss Toddy that there is every other topic in the world you could talk about other than Rebecca and Corey. And I, just move on, right?
Buddy,
Like,
you can talk about me. You can talk about me. We can go back and forth. I'm more than happy to go back and forth, you sweetheart. That easy.
Yeah,
no,
I just think, kids and certain things should be off limits to people. And,
Agreed.
I got really upset when I heard some comments that Toddy supposedly said about my granddaughter and, just about me and things in general. And, I just think that she should really rethink things before she says them. I mean, it's just not right.
I agree. I agree. I just hey squids, let's just move on and let's let Rebecca just exist in her space. Let her do her addiction streams and let her memorialize her grandson in the way she wishes to. Right? Like let's, it's the human Christian American thing to do. Right?
Right. And I just want to say real quick, even after all of this, all of what she's said and done to me these last few days, I still thanked her for giving me the opportunity to tell my story. She did do that, and I thank her for that. And, I'll never knock her for that. She did give me the opportunity. And, you know, I just feel like she should just stop now before she looks really, really bad. And everybody just go back to what we were doing prior to this time last week, when all
Yeah.
this started.
I mean, there's, we all have something in our proverbial closet, right? Even if it's, you drank and drove one time, whatever it is, there's things personal to us. And, whatever you feel like it is that you have, it would behoove you. You could really show and again, I'm not suggesting that she knows anything about Rebecca, but could really show that you have a strong character by just moving on, right? I think that I would applaud you, Toddy, and I'm nobody to you, and you're absolutely no one to me, but I wouldn't be a bit above telling you, Toddy, you did a good thing here. And I think that could be part of what is lacking in Toddy is that maybe as a child she wasn't told when she did a good thing, right? And so it's just easy for her to do the bad things. So
Well,
I would
she
definitely
had
be
it
willing
rough.
to see her, huh?
She had a rough life. She was in witness protection and all that. So I don't know how her childhood was probably pretty rough.
Well, she ain't hiding no more. She's all over the internet.
Exactly. I know. And I had to get that in there. I'm sorry. I'm just stirring the pot now.
No, yeah. And this is the thing. This is a strange anomaly, right? And I think 99% of us would agree. Rebecca has been through a lot, and that Rebecca has this sort of to me, in my opinion, has this unspoken pass, right? We understand that Rebecca's bad days, we can't even understand, right? Our bad day could be a great day for Rebecca some days, right? And that her bad days would be a nightmare we would wish to wake up from. So Rebecca deserves some grace, right? And let's give her the grace and just move on, right? Like just move on. And again, I want to publicly applaud Brooks and Ghost, because what they've done is they've sort of taken the attention, right? Toddy is focused on them, and I think that Brooks and Ghost would probably both be willing to say, "Hey, Toddy, you did a good thing by just finding something else to do and leaving Rebecca and Corey and Brianna and the rest of leave them alone." Right? They came, like, you've proven who you're not, because they came to you thinking you could help. And as soon as you weren't helpful anymore, you became a crazy severe detriment. So just resurrect who it is you are and move forward, right? Just move forward. So I guess if there's no other comments in closing, I guess that we've reached the end, guys.
Well, thank you, everyone
Absolutely.
who has allowed me to speak my mind, and I appreciate everyone's support. All I want to do is keep Corey's memory alive, get the story out there, talk about addiction, and just live life if that's what I'm doing. That's it.
Yeah, I agree. I agree.
Yep.
All right, guys. Well, you're dismissed.
Well, thank you for everything, everybody.
Absolutely, absolutely, Miss Rebecca. You have a great weekend, and I hope you have a great next week. And again, you can text me if ever you got something going on your addiction stream, and any of my input would be useful. I would love to come over and chat it up with you guys.
That'll be great. I'm definitely going to reach out.
Thank you, Miss Rebecca.
Thanks, everybody. Have a good night.
Have a good night.
Thanks, guys. Have a good one.
All right, Ghost. See, are you going live tonight anymore, or?
No, I think Shannon's getting ready to go live, and I know Wheels has had a
Holy.
live and stuff. So I'm gonna meander around the community a little bit, and do my
All right.
thing.
Well, man, I super duper appreciate your time and your involvement in all this. And I know
Thank you, sir.
that Rebecca is, thanks to you. Right. So
I really do appreciate that, Benny. It's been great. Feel free to reach out anytime, man.
you already
got my
know I
number,
will. I'm
man.
finna bug you.
Hell yeah, I'm down. Bug me up.
All right,
bro.
buddy.
Good.
All right.
All right, man. Appreciate
good
you. Everybody have a good night. Bye, guys.
Okay. I do want to thank the people that supported the channel. I've made a blunder. Was supposed to turn that off, and so we're gonna come up with a way. Let me see here. 20, 30, 55. I am going to Rebecca, if you can text me if you have a Cash App or a PayPal, if you could please text me your Cash App or your PayPal handle, I am going to go ahead and send you the money from tonight. I'm going to send that over to you now. So 10, 30, 40, 60. We're going to do 65. How's that sound? Absolutely, Ghost. Absolutely. And I will expedite the money to you as soon as you send me a handle. Where are we at here? Thank you, Crybaby. Thank you. Matter of fact, thank you for everyone. I know that you thought you were just sending Benny some money tonight. Again, I made the mistake of I didn't go last minute. I got a bunch of explanations. I ain't got no excuses, but I got some explanations. I should have turned it off. And in fact, I thought I turned it off from the last stream, and it's not off, evidently. So if you can get me where's she at here? Do you have a Cash App? Okay. Anyways, thank you everyone for joining us. I think that in closing, I understand maybe a little different than some people. I know that there's a lot of people that have been drawn to. There's a lot of faces in here that are here. That they're here from the true crime, and then maybe we get pulled over here or pulled over there, and so I understand Rebecca's her plight. I understand. Because maybe some of you know, maybe some of you don't know. I had an aunt that in 1998, she was murdered in Miami, Florida. And then she was dismembered and put in the mangroves in the Everglades. And then she was subsequently found. It's a whole story. Anyways, that was sort of my drive once COVID came, just kind of carrying that around. And then when COVID came, it was really easy to just kind of jump into the true crime. And so that was sort of my drive, right? And I'm not not an individual when it comes to making mistakes here. And that's really why I've kind of stepped away from even wanting to do true crime. It's because when you don't have certifications and you don't have criminal justice degrees and you don't have the things that separate you from being a novice and a professional advocate, you're going to make mistakes. And a lot of times these mistakes can't be unmistook. Right? And I don't want to be the curator any longer of future or subsequent mistakes, right? And so that's, when people get involved in the active cases, I really like listening to Shannon, because Shannon doesn't cover active breaking edge cases. She covers cases that have already met a finality, right? And, there's such a wealth of historic cases that have come to a close that can be listened to and talked about. That's really the way to go, right? I think that was the design of true crime, was to talk about the cases of the ages, right? Not get involved in the Nancy Guthries and the Summer Wells and Sebastian Rogers. And I think you really see the power, the negative power of true crime in the Nancy Guthrie. You don't even have to watch it every day. You just hear about the numbskulls that are involved in it, and you just know that that's not something you want to be a part of, right? And so I've just made a very conscious decision moving forward that I don't want to do true crime like that, right? So anyways, I want to thank all of you for joining me this evening. It was a powerful thing. And I think that each time Rebecca speaks, you can go find Rebecca has spoken on a number of different panels, and go listen to her, right? And keep her in your prayers, right? So, and subscribe to her channel, FFS. Subscribe to her channel, because I know when I'm over there, we're gonna get some action. You hear me? Anyways, thank you again to all the people that joined us, all the people that donated, that didn't know they were donating to Miss Rebecca and her family. I love all of y'all individually. Remember, the absence of evidence is not the evidence of absence. Let me just go down here real quick. Aunt Kathy, thank you for your contribution to Miss Rebecca. Angel, thank you for your contribution to Miss Rebecca. Brooks, thank you for your contribution. Cindy Lou Who, thank you for your contribution to Rebecca. And Chai Crimes, thank you for your contribution to Miss Rebecca this evening. God be with you all. Have a great night.